iconic gray and black, then why does it say Heir to the Cowl? Hey, what's happening, gamers? I'm K-Wing, and this is Arkham Wednesdays, the show where you learn stuff by punching crime in the face. And it's been a while. Today we're looking at the Dick Grayson Batsuit. Black and gray Bats had longer ears, 3 blades on his gloves, a carpenter's utility belt, and higher boots. So this is not the iconic gray and black. Now, the Grayson Batsuit had a lighter cape, 2 blades on his gauntlet, shorter ears, and a future-style utility belt that actually showed some past Nightwing influence. Also, his suit was dark blue and gray, not black and gray. Regardless of the color, though, I promise you, this is the Dick Grayson Batsuit, the Bright Knight. Yeah, you'll get the nickname in a while. Now it's time to begin the tale of Batman REBORN by Judd Winick. After the Battle of the Cowl, Batman's first son, Dick Grayson, defeated Jason Todd in a deadly battle on a subway car, saving both Damian and Tim Drake from death. Though at the end he held his mentor's cape gripped tightly in hand, Dick had come too far to walk in Bruce's shadow once again. Nightwing has already been an established legend by himself, but Gotham had other plans for Dick Grayson. With the destruction of Arkham Asylum, Batman is needed more than ever, and word of his demise has whispered through the underworld. Will a new dynamic duo rise, or has a brand new Black Mask already won? Now, before we continue, I bet a lot of you are wondering, why do I refer to Batman's past sidekicks as sons? It's actually pretty simple, really. When new laws were put in place for single parents in the 1980s, DC Comics had Batman adopt Jason, then Dick Grayson right away. Though what's interesting is both kept their last names in order to honor their dead parents, and to keep their family legacy pretty much going. When Tim's father was killed by Captain Boomerang sometime in the mid-2000s, Bruce adopted Tim Drake as well. And after Bruce Wayne goes missing after the events of Final Crisis, Tim's legal adoption as a Wayne is how he gets control of Wayne Enterprises back from Hush, Thomas Elliot. In the New 52, I'm not sure if Batman adopted the kids or not. Dick was a teen when he became Robin, so was Jason, and Tim's parents are actually still alive and under witness protection program somewhere, so yeah, but back to our story. While standing beneath Wayne Manor looking at the costume memorials of both Robin and Batman, Dick remembers simpler times for Batman and Robin. Then we're transported back into the past, and we see Batman and Alfred talking about some bad guy, some crazy Bronze Age guy that Batman and Robin have to go after, when all of a sudden they're attacked from inside the cave. Afterwards, a victorious Robin tells the boss man, "You got served." Okay, so what's going on in the scene? Well, Dick was told by Bruce to attack him without being seen or heard, though what Bruce meant was when we're out on patrol in Gotham. Robin just changed the venue, and then as he's gloating, he says, "One day, old man, I'll be the monkey in charge, and it'll be me behind the cape and cowl." Careful what you wish for, Mr. Grayson. Elsewhere, the GCPD is outnumbered and outgunned by some bad guys somewhere in Gotham. Gordon is about to give up hope until the Batmobile roars on the scene and disables the bad guys. Inside proudly sits Nightwing as he smiles. Alfred then congratulates Master Dick through the comms, though Nightwing says Bruce would have left the car, so he could have been seen and feared. Commissioner Gordon also begins to question the Dark Knight's recent changes of late, and fears something is off. Ever since Bruce died, or rather was lost in time during Final Crisis, which is such a cop-out by the way, Dick has been keeping Gotham safe from the shadows, letting people think Batman is still around. Though Damian tells Richard he has no right driving the Batmobile. That's Batman's car, not a fool's mobile. Well, I mean, he doesn't really say fool, but I thought it would work better in that explanation, because Damian's always making fun of Dick Grayson anyway. So a few months ago, when Batman died, Superman and Wonder Woman returned Bruce's remains and cowl to Nightwing, and they say they're very sorry for failing Bruce and asked what Batman's contingency plan was if he died. And Dick and Tim just don't speak to them. They're kind of upset. Nightwing then goes up to Wayne Manor and sits on the balcony and speaks with Alfred and says Bruce didn't fear anything and death was one of those things. And we both knew we would never see Batman grow old. But Dick just wasn't ready to lose him just yet. I mean, his dad, his surrogate father, is now dead, and Nightwing has to return home and lead his family and protect Gotham. I mean, that's a lot on, some young man's shoulders. So Alfred basically pleads with Nightwing during this conversation that the world can't know that Batman is dead. You can't allow them to have a costume parade through Gotham, which is something that the DC heroes always do when somebody dies. The city is filled with guys in spandex and body armor. But if they did that in Gotham, it would be a mockery for what Batman stood for. And Dick tells the Justice League just that. Most criminals think that Batman is a demon, a vampire, a ghost. He instills fear into the heart of criminals. His legend needs to remain as such. Batman lives, no matter what. So back in the present, Damian Wayne is causing a lot of headaches for Alfred, and he's in the Robin costume. He also fights Dr. Lightbright. Dr. Phosphorus, the guy from the Batman Terry show. Anyway, before he's in over his head, Dick saves him and provides a lecture with 4 points. 1, Dr. Phosphorus doesn't feel pain. 2, Robin, you're not dressed to fight him, he's walking radiation. Think. 3, I called the police. 4, get in the car. And then they drive off. So see, Dick's got a handle on the whole Batman thing. Alfred then tells Grayson Damian won't listen to him, he's Batman's responsibility, and that Grayson has no business lurking from the shadows, and he can't do it forever. And also, why are you even doing this here? And Dick says, you want to know something? You're right, Alfred. I don't deserve to be in this cave. Instead, he leaves and creates his own Batcave called the Bunker underneath Wayne Tower. So, the Dark Knight. Nolan film, basically. Actually, it's the same thing because Bruce Wayne creates his, I guess we would say satellite Batcave underneath the Wayne Foundation building or Wayne apartment or something in Gotham in the film, which actually these comic books, they do a lot of the Nolan influence for the Dick Grayson Batman, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So Dick tells Alfred if he's going to be Batman, he has to do it his own way. His suit, his rules, his equipment. Dick can't pretend to be Batman, he must become him. Also, he will never replace Bruce. This will be a different Batman altogether. While he will work with Damian as Robin sometimes, he'll need to go it alone just like Bruce did when Dick was a kid. Damian can't see Batman second guess himself ever, or Damian will go out into the night and kill a bunch of people, which would basically ruin all the work that they've done to make Damian no longer a killer. Because remember, he was conditioned to do that since he was born. So Alfred and Dick spend the next 2 weeks creating the Bat Bunker and a brand new Batsuit. During this time, Gotham basically falls apart, and Scarecrow then comes back, and he's taken so many prisoners on Pioneer's Bridge, and he's actually waiting for the east wind to blow through Gotham so that more of the fear gas will spread into the city. He also warns Gotham not to try anything funny or he'll spread his toxin as far as he can. And Gordon's like, all right, let's not try anything funny. And Bullock's like, oh, don't worry about that. I got dudes climbing up the side of the building. We're gonna take this clown down without Batman. And then Scarecrow sees on his iPad that these cops are trying to come up these ropes, Batman style. And then he activates some type of fear gas that has a acid that's eating through their suits, because they're wearing these suits that can protect them from the fear stuff. And then Batman shows up and he says, hang in there, baby, which is kind of different because Batman wouldn't say that. Then Scarecrow's up there and he's like, what's going on? You have to believe me that I'll destroy the city. And Batman says, I do. That's why I'm here. So why the Bale voice? Because Dick practically tells Alfred in these books that Bruce uses a bat voice. So comic book Batman uses another voice. And when I read the comics, I always hear Conroy in my head for everything but the New 52. The New 52 Batman sounds like that guy from Batman and Son. As for the Dick Grayson Batman and some other things, because there's so much Nolan influence, I hear the Nolan Batman. So when I quote Batman, it's going to be the Nolan voice. What can you do? So now, Batman Reborn covers two storylines that we're going to talk about. Professor Pig and Penguin versus Two-Face. There are tons of other storylines, too, that Dick Grayson had that we'll talk about in other videos, and maybe, but for the purpose of this video, we're just focusing on the Reborn arc and also some of the stories that coincided with Batman Reborn, so some Batgirl, Stephanie Brown, and Red Robin, Tim Drake stuff. Let's start with Tim Wayne first. And yes, I said Wayne, so Dick called Tim an equal, and said, okay, I have to fire you because you can't be Batman's new Robin because we're the same. I respect you too much. And comic readers are just kind of like, why did he get fired again? Damian then says, oh, don't worry, Mr. Drake. We still need a Batgirl on our team. And then Tim loses it and decks the Brat Wonder, and everybody cheers, and Tim storms off into the night. Basically, the Tim Drake stuff, he gets attacked by 3 assassins in Gotham, and then he retreats to his new base that not many people know about, except for his girlfriend, where spoiler surprises Tim, and Tim isn't in the mood and kicks her wicked hard, which is not very gentlemanlike and leads to them breaking up. He also tells Steph that if she loves him, I hate when people play this card, back off and leave him alone, because if you follow me, it's over, but, you know, the next couple months anyway, they break up. So Tim is then going crazy searching for his adopted dad or any evidence that Batman was sent back in time and he's dead. And he begins to change his methods too. They become very questionable. He almost crosses the line and kills some people. Actually, it could be argued that in France and Germany he did kill some people, like when he blew up a car that had kidnapped some girl and a building happened to accidentally explode. So he didn't really have to save the bad guys. He left them to their fate. So yeah, he's pretty much crossed the line as the new identity, Red Robin. So after Steph's run-in with Tim, she had to clear her head a little bit. She met up with Cassandra Cain to have a girl talk. And by girl talk, I mean she beat the crap out of some bad dudes at a dock with her bestie at her side. And then what's really interesting in this comic, the start of the Batgirl Reborn stuff, is Cass said she quits. Cain fought because of Bruce Wayne, and with him dead, she has no purpose anymore. She's not one of his agents. She's gonna do her own thing, and she takes off the costume and gives it to a stunned Stephanie Brown that's like, whoa, what just happened here? So for a few nights, Steph does okay as Batgirl, but she's wearing a hand-me-down costume. But Dick knows that's not Cassandra Cain, and even Oracle pays Miss Brown a visit as she's eating waffles. Thankfully, the buxom blonde doesn't get busted and becomes Babs' Padawan, in a sense. I have so much Star Wars stuff going in my head right now because of Disney Infinity, so excuse it, okay? So, she also gets a brand new, improved Batgirl costume, which is one of my favorites, and I'm slowly turning Amber into a Stephanie Brown Batgirl fan, too, more so than Babs. Since Dick has moved out of the Batcave by this point, Barbara moves in and takes over the Batcave and makes that like the new clock tower, in a sense. And she also gives the place a woman's touch. So if you remember that scene from the animated series, there's a lot of plants and stuff. But anyway, after besting Scarecrow on the bridge as the new Batman, Scarecrow devises a new plan to take Gotham to its knees using a drug called Thrill. Now, Steph's fellow university peers come in contact with the stuff, and eventually, Batgirl, the new one, earns her wings, but more on that another day. Maybe Rocksteady Studios will add a Stephanie Brown skin, perhaps? Probably not, but enough about the sidekicks for now. So continuity-wise, Professor Pig, I think, takes place a few nights before the Two-Face and new Black Mask caper, or after the heroic Red Hood arc. More on that later though, because the Jason Todd stuff, I really want to talk about playing the heroic Jason Todd skin, because then we can dive into stuff about Scarlet and Todd and things like that. But I'm gonna say this right now, okay? I really hate Professor Pig, like a lot. My stomach just goes in knots thinking about him because he's so disturbing, and you can just tell he comes from the mind of Grant Morrison, okay? The guy is a whack job. Not Morrison per se, but a lot of the people he creates are just Looney Tunes, you know what I mean? Okay, so after Dick spooked Crane on the Gotham Bridge, the first new Batman and Robin caper has to do with Professor Pig. So they're chasing this British thug in the Batmobile, and the guy that they're chasing is called Mr. Toad. And by chasing, I really mean flying. So Grant Morrison, ladies and gentlemen, has created a flying Batmobile. Oh, and by the way, this was a test drive flight thing. So Batman and Robin take down the Frog, and we get to see the brand new Bat-Dick interrogation methods. Like making a person think they're hanging upside down, blindfolded from 300 feet out of a flying car. So after the frog guy spills his guts, Batman says, thanks for the info, and then drops him. And you're just thinking, oh my gosh, Dick Grayson just killed someone. But the guy only falls like a few feet onto a roof. But talk about intimidating. I mean, being blindfolded and hanging upside down, like with the wind blowing in your face and you can hear the roar of the bat car thing. Man, that would do things to your mind, wouldn't it? Okay, so like when Dick went to college, Wayne Tower again acts as both apartment for the family and a bat cave. Though how no one discovers a bat bunker in the subway underneath Wayne Tower, I'll never know. What made Morrison's Batman and Robin so much fun to read, though, which I've talked about before, is the banter between B and R. Though what's really interesting, the roles are reversed. Damian is the brooding Dark Crusader, and Dick is the cheerful, smiling Bright Knight. For reals. He also doesn't hide it either. So anyway, back to the Professor Pig Caper. The new dynamic duo race off into the night, speeding into their flying bat car, and on their way to see Gordon, they basically test their new paracapes, meaning they can fly now, or rather fall, with style. I find it funny how Dick doesn't like to test his gear before leaping out of, like, flying aircrafts. As Jim is waiting under the bat signal, this could have gone horribly wrong, like the Flying Graysons opening night in Gotham. Except it would be all over the GCPD rooftop, but rest assured, they land. Alive! No broken limbs or grossness at all. They're fine. I was just trying to paint a vivid picture of what could have happened because they didn't test their gear. So, some of Pig's men break into the JCPD to rescue Toad, and they kill a bunch of good cops too during the shootout. B&R show up to try and save the day, but find out that Toad is already dead. But how did he die inside of the police department? He was killed by a character that will be revealed not in this episode. Sorry, I gotta save some material, folks. So then we have Professor Pig's entrance into the comic and his doll things. I hate those things so much. If you've played the Arkham Knight game, then you know what those things are. They are versions of perfection. Yeah, so, and the guy also sings, coming to make you perfect, yeah. Yeah, I know. So, it's pretty disturbing. So, Pig is shown to the readers breaking into this guy's house, probably an informant of his or something, and then we see him playing surgeon, and a poor father and daughter are turned into Dolltron things, which is just, I hate that. So back to the police department thing, Gordo thanks Batman and Robin for their help, and an officer says, didn't he used to be taller? And I think Robin shrunk a little bit. And Jim is like, something doesn't seem right about that man, but also something vaguely familiar. Time out. So during the prodigal Dick Grayson storyline where Bruce left after he defeated Jean Paul Valley, when, you know, Valley went crazy during Nightfall and Nightquest, Jim knew that Dick Grayson was Batman right away. Or rather, he knew it was Nightwing, and even told Dick when he was impersonating as Batman, why don't you just call me Jim like the other Batman, the original one? And Dick is like, I can't, sir. I've always called you sir. I have a lot of respect for you. And he may have done it that way, but I'm gonna do it this way. And, you know, you could just see the amount of respect that Grayson had for Jim and all these other people. But back to the Reborn story. Basically, Jim is not really shown a detective at all during this point. I mean, he's kind of contemplating. There's some familiarity about this guy, but it doesn't really sink in. So I guess all that stuff that happened in the past, it's just made him not really a sharp tack anymore. He's still, you know, smarter than New 52 Gordon, but that's besides the point. After returning to the bunker, B&R have a massive argument and Robin leaves. Mainly because Robin almost killed a thug that he was interrogating. And by killed, I mean he gave him a really bad headache. So apparently that's crossing the line. So Dick then, you know, is really angry, like, you know, you're crossing the line and blah, blah, blah. And then Damian is like, you know what? You need to stop using that stupid Batman impression because it dishonors my dad's memory. And besides, you sound like Bale. And Batman's like, I don't sound like Bale. I'm Batman. But the interesting thing is after this exchange, Robin leaves on a motorcycle and he's 10. okay? But that just shows you how hardcore Damian Wayne is. Alfred then gives Dick a small pep talk, which happens a lot in these issues. You can see the fatherly side of Alfred. And Grayson is complaining about how nobody believes I'm Batman. They think I'm some demented impersonator wearing hockey pads. Also, he hates the cape so much. And that's the first thing he actually lost when going solo, ladies and gentlemen, because the cape would slow him down, you can trip on it. And Alfie reminds Grayson that his Batman shouldn't be a memorial to Bruce, but rather a performance. After all, he was born as a showman, where Bruce was born from tragedy. Grayson already, kind of got over what happened to him because he had a great dad like Batman and a great grandpa like Alfred to kind of get him out of that, darkness. He's not on the edge of the abyss anymore. Even his Batman is never really in danger of becoming too dark. So, during the heart-to-heart between Alfred and Dick, meanwhile, Damian Wayne, Robin, has tracked down Professor Pig and gotten himself kidnapped. Because, he's just a little kid. He also meets a girl during his captivity, though she's wearing a doll mask and asking for help. The only way that I can paint this scene is scary. Think of that kid from Doctor Who that's saying, "Are you my mommy?" That type of thing, except, she has a creepy, wrinkly doll mask on her face. So anyway, Grayson is doing all he can to find where Robin is, and, he's like, "Where is he? Where's Robin?" And he's doing this while interrogating a thug on an ATV in the streets of Gotham. And yes, the ATV, or Bat ATV, is a brand new thing that Dick uses in his crime-fighting arsenal. So here he is, barreling down Gotham, holding up this thug that's hogtied with his upper body strength, going probably like 60 or 70 miles an hour through really heavy, thick commuter traffic. And he's holding this guy off the pavement by just a few inches, and he's screaming at him. He's like, "Where's Robin?" And the guy's just like, "I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on." It's just like, "I'm gonna die!" And Batman's just like, "Remember now?" And then the guy spills his guts, but it's just like, whoa, this is incredibly tense to see this moment, and you can just see when Grayson is like, spitting at this guy to get info. And you also know how strong acrobats really are and how their upper body strength is. Later, Jimbo is talking to Batman on the phone, and he's like, "I give you access to a suspect and you almost kill him. Who are you?" And Dick is like, "I'm Batman. You need to trust me, Jim. They have Robin." Or something like that, And Jim is just kind of like taking off his glasses, and he's just like rethinking all the stuff he's ever done with Batman, because this is like the Nightfall thing all over again. This Batman is crazy, and then Jim is like, "You know what?" He says, "I'm getting too old for this, but whatever." Elsewhere, Robin has freed himself from the clutches of Professor Pig before he can operate on the poor girl. And then Damian loses it and has like a very violent exchange, and you can see his assassin's training paying off. He almost kills some of those dolls. Maybe he does. He throws a drill into the face of one. He busts some kneecaps. It's pretty messed up. Damian just loses it because he doesn't like to see innocents suffer. So before Batman tracks down Robin, he stops like this germ infestation thing from spreading thanks to Professor Pig. Damian, meanwhile, has failed to protect the girl with the doll mask, which she'll remind him of later, his absolute failure. And then he's caught up fighting Professor Pig. But Pig is, just getting ready to school Robin when Batman comes out of nowhere through the fire on the Bat ATV and does a bat punch. Together they find the antidote like Batman and Robin do, and they stop the sickness from spreading into Gotham. Though, unfortunately, the girl is thought dead, but she does turn up later, and I'm doing a lot of foreshadowing because she teams up with the heroic Red Hood, which is an amazing comic book arc. But again, we're going to talk about that when we wear the heroic Red Hood skin, probably later this year. So basically, the new Bat books are mostly solo adventures. So as for the Batman arc itself, like the Reborn stuff, not the Batman and Robin issues, they're solo adventure stories where Robin saves Dick's bacon a few times, but mostly Grayson tackles crime by himself. And the storylines are actually really interesting. Damian is stuck mostly to monitor duty, Also, Dick is a totally different Batman altogether, and I'm going to paint this illustration for you. So did you know that Bruce actually used to shut off security cameras and made it impossible for the media even to get a picture of him when he was beating up bad guys? Also, he took all the evidence from the crime scene like some super OCD obsessed guy, making the police job and Gordon's job a lot tougher. And all I can say to that is, Bruce, you're a jerk, okay? I mean, you have to let the police do their job a little bit. But Bat Dick, on the other hand, smiles for the camera, leaves the security cameras going and the internet videos alone. No bat virus, no destroying public property. You know, he actually leaves the crime scenes intact for the police to do their job too, so that our tax money can be used properly. Though because of this change in behavior, one of Batman's old nemesis, Two-Face, realizes this new Batman isn't the Dark Knight and plans to kill him by teleporting into the Batcave and getting rid of this new imposter. But poor Alfred, you know, Dick complains so much to him, like I've spoken about before. Alfie just isn't used to this at all. He has to deal with this new neurotic Batman, you know? And Dick likes to talk, so... But what's interesting is Alfred even admits that he likes working with this Batman a lot better because he didn't have these type of conversations with Bruce. Grayson is chatty and very lively. I might have said this already, but Bat-Dick is pretty much based on the Nolan Batman in terms of tech. Paracapes, super tank-like cars, Batsuit armor that is good against dogs, and all kinds of really cool gear that he gets from Lucius Fox. In fact, Lucius Fox becomes a regular in these books. Like, he appears in almost every issue and has a vital role. He's just not this cameo guy. So anyway, back to how Grayson deals with crime. So we learn he has so many different approaches to his mentor, not just the security feeds and smiling and talking to bad guys, but also how he scares people. So Bruce liked to shut off the lights of like these crime casinos, and watch Batman the Animated Series sometimes if you're trying to figure out what that is. Batman will throw some gas bombs and then force people to run in fear, like stampeding out, leaving only a batarang as a warning embedded in a wall somewhere. That would be his only sign that he was in the room. Dick, on the other hand, likes to spook people in person as Batman. Though he gets shot at a lot for some reason, mainly because, you know, he's like, surprise, I'm Batman. Not like the George Clooney Batman, but he's a showman. He loves to just, you know, troll people. Back in the cave, Alfred reminisces with Dick, saying that, you know, he made it his mission in life to follow Bruce's path, even though he really didn't agree with it, because it kind of helped Bruce vent, I guess. And in a way, it kind of, you know, lessened Bruce's burden and struggle. And it was really hard for Alfred to stand in the shadow of a greater shadow. But Dick, you know, he makes this whole crime-fighting vigilante thing so much easier, and Alfred thanks him for that. And Gotham's rogues, on the other hand, don't like this new Batman because he's leaning harder on certain hoods than Batman has in years because of all of his adventures with the Justice League and, you know, Ra's al Ghul doing all this stuff. This Batman leans really hard on the mob because, remember, the mob was responsible for killing Dick Grayson's parents, so Dick has no tolerance for any mob activity in Gotham. That's a lot of trouble for characters like the Penguin, who has to start meeting with the all-new Black Mass to take care of his growing bat problem. All you need to know is Penguin hires some ex-military metahuman guy and Clayface to put the bat in the ground. How this new terrible duo does this is they start making apartment fires all over Gotham. So as Dick is passing by in the new flying Batmobile, and rather risking personal injury to himself, he uses some of the tech that Lucius made for Bruce, but in new ways, by dropping like these foam bombs on the buildings that kills the fire, and then just to make sure that people aren't like alarmed, because the next panel you see all these people covered in this foam, he says, "Don't worry, citizens, it's non-toxic. Just exit the building before it falls down." And he has like this loudspeaker and like kind of this microphone headset that you see Let's Players wearing when he's telling people to, get out of the building. So he's augmented the new Batmobile with speakers on the outside so people can hear him. Because Dick doesn't like to get out of the car so much. He enjoys playing as Batman. And he never really understands why Batman never really liked anything that he did. It was always this solemn, quest for repentance and vengeance. And Dick, it's kind of like a night job. And he really enjoys it. And he's good at it. So while, he's dealing with the fire, Clayface and this meta-human soldier guy attack Batman and force him to ditch the flying car. This battle also shows how great of a fighter Grayson is and why he is the only son who could have become Batman after Final Crisis. Jean-Paul Valley is nothing compared to Dick in terms of combat abilities. The why they had Dick lose to Jean-Paul during Nightfall, I'll never really know, but people didn't really like Nightwing all that much. Except for, Wolfman and a couple others. But anyway, Dick likes to make people think that they're winning when he's fighting them, and then he turns the tables on them and mocks them. So he's a character study in combat. He lets them get a couple moves out, watches for some very dangerous things. He's on the defensive for a while, and then he counterattacks. Also, he takes a lot more risks, like having Alfred use the car to shoot missiles at him while Clayface has him trapped in that, Clayface goo. The metahuman soldier is also no match for the former leader of the Teen Titans. Remember, Dick fought Trigun and ordered commands to a team of metahumans at the same time. Best Batman yet? Maybe. Though before he can pat himself on the back, an intruder alert has, warned him that someone has entered the Batcave. Dick goes to investigate and sees the giant penny has been damaged just like Dent's coin, and he's freaking out. He completely breaks character like Michael Keaton, because Dick is actually afraid of Two-Face, because Two-Face was responsible for retiring Dick Grayson, although originally it was Joker who shot him. In the pre-52 universe, after the 80s, it was Two-Face that ended Robin's career as, Batman's sidekick and put a lot of fear into Batman's eyes. And this was well before what happened to Jason Todd. So you can see there's this history coming back. Now, I briefly mentioned that Dent's whole mission in these 6 issues is to teleport into the cave and kill the new Batman. Though before, this was an impossible feat because of all Bruce's crazy scientific and magical methods to prevent all kinds of stuff from being brought into the Batcave, because Bruce was super paranoid like all the time, and he had a contingency plan for a contingency plan, and Harvey was never able to get inside the cave. So once he's there, and he's speaking to the new Batman, he says, "You're an imposter because the real Batman wouldn't let this happen." And Dick is just like facepalm, because Harvey's right, he totally messed up. And the only reason Dick gets saved is because Alfred dons a cowl and uses, a Batman voice like, "Harvey, I'm over here." Then Harvey sees 2 Batmen and he's like, "Holy crap, what's going on?" And before he can even get his bearings, Dick Grayson leaves in a mist and starts messing with Harvey's mind. Because remember, Dick likes to chat, but he's going all Bale and saying things like, "You're in my house now, Harvey." And Harvey's just like, "Oh my gosh, what's happening?" And then the giant penny falls on Two-Face and it's like, whoa, And then as, Harvey is all out of the commission, Dick and Alfred are kind of like, what? We're going to leave the cave the same way Bruce found it when he was a little kid. And that will be a better, tribute to our fallen, father. And Alfred agrees, so for the next couple days, they take down everything. The giant penny, all the memorials, everything. But what's interesting is, and I don't remember how this arc finishes, but a new arc starts when Dick Grayson is tearing apart the Jason Todd memorial, because he even tells Alfred, Jason was Batman's cross to bear. I'm not that close to Todd, and he wasn't my responsibility, and it wasn't this Batman's fault for him getting killed. So he's taking apart the memorial, and inside he finds a USB drive that is about Dick Grayson's parents. And then Grayson is freaking out, like, what's going on? Why does Bruce have this? Why is he still investigating my parents? Why is it here? And to the best of my knowledge, I don't know. I don't know if that arc was ever finished. I don't know if it was teased, but I've always wanted to know. So if you guys and gals know about that, please let me know in the comment section below, and I will investigate that. So before they leave the cave completely empty and they're exiting, Dick calls Raven just in case and has her do a bunch of magical stuff to the old Batcave so that what happened with Harvey teleporting in can never happen to any other, DC villain. Nobody's going to surprise anybody in the Batcave again, which is interesting. Though Tim Drake, when he comes back and Stephanie and Oracle are in the Batcave, he spooks them. So somehow he's able to get past the magical stuff and the guns and whatever else to get in the Batcave. So I just find that interesting. Either the writers just completely forgot what Dick and Raven and all those other people did in this comic arc, or they were just like, you know what? Tim Drake is awesome. He's just going to be able to get in the cave anyway. So... And that's how they leave the cave. It's completely empty until, of course, the new Batgirl and Barbara Gordon take up residence. So, as for Dick, why is he the best Batman in my eyes? Well, in his first month as the Bright Knight, he defeats Scarecrow, Professor Pig, Red Hood, Penguin, Two-Face, the new Black Mask, and the Reaper, a villain that Bruce even struggled with during his early days in the 80s. Yup, Grayson is the true successor to the Cowl. It is a role that he was born to play, just like Bruce Wayne knew deep down. Now, before we wrap up, in his will, I just want to be clear, Bruce Wayne asked Richard not to become Batman, but rather watch over his city as Nightwing because he was so proud of the hero that his son had become. He made friends with everybody in the DC universe. He was a better leader than Bruce was. He had conquered his darkness, yet he was still doing Bruce's mission, and he was actually being a light in the darkness for Gotham. Bruce didn't really know how bad Gotham would need a Batman, though, and he figured that, his first son could handle his legacy. But what he didn't want is to place that curse on any of his children. So what this Bruce really didn't understand, though, before Darkseid, sent him back in time, was that the mantle of Batman isn't a curse. It's an honor, and the world will always need a Batman, whether it's Bruce Wayne, Dick Grayson, Damian, Terry McGinnis, or Tim Wayne. The man underneath may always change, but the symbol, ladies and gentlemen, is everlasting. And with that, folks, we're done. I know we had a lot of ground to cover, but thank you so much for watching. In the comments section below, tell me what you would like to learn about next time in the Batman lore / Arkham Wednesdays thing. Keep in mind, I have not even scratched the surface of Dick Grayson's run as the Bright Knight. This was just an appetizer. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Don't forget to like and share this video with your friends so they too can be informed about Batman. Until next time, God bless and happy gaming. I'll be seeing you.